So without further ado, let's kick this thing off. The first part of what we're going to do is we're going to talk about building an A-team. But before we build an A-team, I'd like us to collaborate. Okay, so let's go ahead and kick it off. All right, so the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to play a game. And what are we going to play about? Oh, okay, let me just give you the headliner. So the objective is, the first thing we're going to do is going to play a team building game. Afterwards, I'll share the vision of hiring a great team, and then about hiring the right roles for a growing host management company, and then finally end with the Bukit Vista HR philosophy. This part is actually kind of cool because this is a presentation I've given at a few universities across Indonesia on our attempts to recruit new employees to Bukit Vista. So ironically, a lot of the employees at Bukit Vista have actually never seen this presentation. So this will be a first time for most everybody in the room, okay? All right, let's go on to the format of what we're looking at here. So the first part is going to play a super team game. And so the game is essentially very simple. You'll collaborate with maybe a person sitting next to you, and we'll put up some roles up on the board, and we'll decide how you make your teams. Then second part is actually really interesting. It applies a lot to growing host entrepreneurs about some of the myths and truths about hiring. So oftentimes before we hire, there's a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of myths that we might have picked up along the years, and we'll look at each of these myths and how they can actually they can slow down your progress to properly growing your company. And the third part is we'll tell you about what we do to develop great teams. Okay, all right, next slide, please. So here's a super team game, and we'll begin. So the first part, Vita will be handing out some cards. So what we'll do is we'll hand a card to groups of two. So maybe you two could form a group here. Kuldeep, one more first. Okay, one more back, and one more back. Back two. Forward, yeah. Okay. One more forward. Okay. Okay, one more forward there. And forward again. Okay, so as Vita's going around and passing out the cards, what we're going to do is we're going to go to the roll table. So that's 2 slides forward. All right. So what we want you to do is this. This is an exercise. So pretend that you have a budget now. Pretend that you have some money and you want to grow your teams. All right. So your hospitality empire is rolling along and rolling along. And what roles would you want to hire from this table to be the first 4 highest priority roles that you want to hire? Okay. So what we're going to do is just collaborate with the person sitting next to you, have a conversation, think about like what the pain points of the business are, think about what you really need, and we'll check back with you guys in about, I don't know, 90 seconds, and please have a team worked out for 4 roles from this table that you would like to put down on your dream team to begin your hospitality empire. Okay? All right, cool. Okay, you can begin. Wait, maybe Nicole mixes with Nai and... Okay, all right. Wait, you guys should mix a little bit too, right? Nicole maybe can mix with... All right, Bayou, I'll let you figure it out, yeah. Okay, so think about what you want to hire and who you want to hire in your teams to make these teams awesome. This is from whatever point you think you're at now. What are the next 4 roles that you want to hire for? Yeah. Yes. Oh, okay. So let's say from the beginning then. Yeah. From the beginning, what 4 roles would you like to begin with? Yep. 4 roles, yeah. From that table of choices. Wait, actually going with you, yeah? Okay. All right. Business partnership. All right. Business. Okay. All right. How would you rank? How would you rank each role? CEO is first. Okay. One. And then after that. Okay. Guest relations. Okay. Two. Okay. Okay. Business. Okay. All right. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, no, that's really interesting. Would you all the different parts? Right? Would you when you first get started, would you expect the CEO to actually do any of the
Wait till you're now.
Okay. Got it. Got it. Okay. Interesting. Okay. So CEO in your mind is not a person who commands people. It's a person who gets things done. Got it. Got it. Okay. And what kind of operations does the CEO do?
We've not yet lost all our graces. The hounds will stay in chains. Look upon your greatness and she'll send the call out, 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 send the call out Call the ladies out, they're in their finery. 100 jewels on throats, 100 jewels between teeth. Now bring my boys in, their skin in craters like the moon. The moon we love like a brother, while he glows through the room. Dancing around the lies we tell, dancing around big eyes as well. Even the comatose, they don't dance and tell. We live in cities you'll never see on screen. Not very pretty, but we sure know how to run things. Living in ruins of a palace within my dreams. And you know, we're on each other's team. I'm kinda over getting told to throw my hands up in the air. So there. So all the cups got broke, shards beneath our feet, but it wasn't my fault. And everyone's competing for a love they won't receive, 'cause what this palace wants is release. We live in cities you'll never see on screen. Not very pretty, but we sure know how to run things. Living in ruins
Okay. All right, everyone. Well, I see there's a lot of activity there. Does anybody want more time, like maybe another 30 seconds before we go on? No? Okay. All right. If you're finished, just one last thing. Please give the name of your team, the name of an animal, just to be cute. Just pick like kind of an animal to represent your team. And after you've done that, what we'll do is let's have Vita go and collect all the surveys, and then we'll bring it back to the front. Yes. Animals, please. Yeah, pick the name of Pick the name of an animal, and we will take a look at that survey, okay? Okay. All right, let's go ahead. If you still need some time over here, we'll start. Okay, so we'll do this. Jonathan and I will start first, and we'll tell you what we picked. I mean, we kind of picked two different things, actually, because Jonathan's company, Igloo Homes, actually has more of a technology beginning, and Bukit Vista began with more of a hospitality beginning. Okay, so Jonathan, what would be your lineup there? Oh, by the way, we're Team Gorilla because we're big. Funny, right? Okay, or maybe not. Okay, Team Gorilla. Go ahead, Jonathan. Tell us the first 4 people that you would hire for your team. Okay.
I chose like a COO first because you need someone to actually manage your operations flow and everything. So actually you can park a lot of things under operations. You can park like HR, you can park your relations there, hiring team, everything under operations. And then from there I went next with guest relations. And so also like this company from scratch, I'm thinking of something like a hospitality side, not what Igloo Home did. So it's like a pure hospitality prospect. And then after guest relations, followed by HR manager, and then business partnerships. So I feel like a COO is important because you need a proper backbone first before you start to actually expand and build up a company. So imagine you have sales coming in, but you have no way to fulfill, or no one to actually host the guests. So that will be kind of like a failure from the start. Yeah, so I think that was my mindset from this selection. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Jonathan, for that. So it's actually kind of interesting because Jonathan, I would say that you started from more of like a top-down approach, right? So you're thinking about, okay, who's going to be the leader, then who's going to be like the next integration into that, and all the way through. And just earlier, I was just asking Jonathan, what about that? So what does the leader do if they don't have a team, and what's the right answer for that?
I think like for leadership, right, it's not just about commanding people. You have to tell them, you have to show them that you can do it as well. So you lead from the front. Like show them, hey, I can do it too. Let me teach you how to do it, and then build and grow together as a company.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you for sharing that insight, Jonathan from Igloo Home. Okay, so I'll share the sort of development of Bukit Vista and how it started. The very first role we had was a business developer, was Wayana, and she went out to actually get the very first partnerships which to actually serve and to put up on Airbnb. And then, of course, the subsequent step is we needed to produce content. I guess that would be under sales and marketing. So essentially, we need to take photographs, do the content, do the copywriting, and really think of ways to promote the listing online. After that, guest relations, because now you have guests coming in, and this is important that the guests are seen, served, and they leave 5-star reviews, and you continue to get further guests. And then after that, to really contain the community and make sure that you have a solid community that keeps on wanting to work with you. On the property partner side, you need a community manager. So those are my 4 first picks. Okay, any comments, questions, or anything about Jonathan or our picks? No? Okay, let's start over here. Team, your name is, okay, go ahead.
Okay, my name is Alvin.
Alvin. Hi, Alvin.
And we are team with Bu Astuti. We are from
Bu Astuti, okay.
We are from Jalak Bali team.
Okay, all right. What's the name of your animal?
Jalak Bali. Jalak Bali is a Balinese. It's a bird from Bali.
Oh, Jalak Bali. Okay, fantastic. Why did you choose that?
Because we are from Bali, I guess.
Beautiful. Okay, fantastic. Now, what did Jalak Bali think should be the first 4 hires?
Okay, you want to start or I do start?
Yours.
Okay, so the very first thing that we thought that going to be important for our, let's say, startup company. Since we are based in Bali, so at first business partnership development is like yours.
Okay, very good.
Because we are thinking about, well, if we are a business, we have made partnership, we have made development for the business from the scratch up to the high level.
Mm-hmm.
Then after that, we are must handling handling the finance things. So we are hiring the revenue managers.
Okay. All right,
And
very
here
good.
we are handling like all the finance stuff. So he can do all of the things, revenue managers.
Okay.
After the back ends, and then we go with the guest relation officers.
Okay.
Because we want the guests have like more experience about what happening in the property or what hospitality.
Okay.
Then after the guest relation officers, we are go with the butlers because butlers can handle the guests or the people who are coming.
Okay.
Do it more professionally.
Okay. Got
So
it.
that's what we think about it.
What, Jalak Bali, what would you envision is the difference between the guest relations officer job and the butler's job?
Okay, so what we're thinking is if your guest relation officers is basically handling when the guests have guests coming and then follow up after the next visit and whether you want to join us again or come visit us again.
okay,
But butlers is when on site on the
Got it.
property.
Okay. All
So,
right.
yeah.
Very good, Jalak Bali. Does anybody have any questions or comments that they would like to ask this team about how they built their team? Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Jalak Bali. Okay. Here. Plus. Thank you. Okay. Let's go to the team up here. Yes? Oh, okay. Yes. Visa, do you have a question?
Who's doing your cleaning?
Oh.
Yep. Someone answered butler. Butler can hire some people to do the cleaning. Butler can hire some people to do the
Delegates on your
yeah. So it's more higher levels.
Okay. Got it.
Thank you.
There's any more comments from that? Any more feedback? Are butlers generally expected to clean the room? No, right? Okay. All right. So, all right. Okay. Interesting thoughts. Very good. Any further comments at this moment? No? Okay. All right. Next team. So these two in the front. Please introduce yourselves.
Hi, we are the Cute Pandas.
Cute pandas. All right. Tell me more about that.
Well, first of all, I don't like the idea of just calling us the pandas. We have to have some descriptive term because
Poetic.
how we want to actually describe ourselves is how we want to describe our villa. So we want to give more detail, more emphasis on something descriptive.
Cute. Okay.
So we're the Cute Pandas. And we were coming at this from the point of view of a startup in a small way,
Okay.
as opposed to perhaps coming in at a large business angle, coming in from that side. So we started off wanting to have an online marketing manager,
Okay.
who would be actually the person who puts us on Airbnb in the first place and things.
Got it.
And then we were thinking about that's external. And what about when we actually get people in? It's all very easy. Many of these titles are about looking out. But what about when the guests arrive? Then we need people to support them internally. So we took the butler,
Okay.
because as a small organization, the butler has got many roles. And in our organization, the butler does clean as
Okay.
well as serve breakfast.
Okay.
Because we're small.
Got it.
Yeah, and we're a startup. This is this is how small startups start.
Yep.
Then the butler has also got the job of guest relations within his role or her
Okay.
role,
Very good.
and then social media,
Okay.
and then a community manager.
Social media and community manager. Okay. Very good. Actually, Julie, Jonathan, would you imagine that a COO at some point might be a butler?
I mean, yeah, if you're a startup, he should be doing this kind of roles as well. I mean, until you scale up, because you said from the start, right? So since you already own the business, he should be showing from the front, like, hey, I'm the CEO, so I'm also doing the butler, and build some relationships with the customers, something like that. Yeah.
I think the point of, yes, thank you very much, Jonathan, for sharing that perspective. Some of the things I think that when we talk about hiring is actually role, maybe people have a different impression of what that role actually means. I think somebody told me one time, when you're CEO of a small company, let's say it's less than 5 people, your job is really to get lunch for everyone. And I thought that was funny. And they told me why. Because essentially, as CEO in the very beginning, there shouldn't be that much work for you to do. You have somebody like an engineer doing the programming. You have a biz dev person doing the sales. And so fundamentally, your job is just to support those. And so even if you're a COO in a small startup, it could actually mean you're maybe half of these jobs too as well. Okay, great stuff. Does anybody have any comments for Team Cute Panda about how they did their lineup? No? Any questions? All right, fantastic. Let's keep on going. Let's go to this team over here. Is this a team of 3 or a team of 2?
Yes, this is
Okay.
3.
Okay, what's the name of your team?
Okay, so I'm just gonna deliver about the name. We're unicorn.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty imaginative, but also have a very deep meaning because as what is already stated, unicorn itself is a privately held startup company valued at over $1 billion US.
Thank
So
you.
that's
Yes,
why we
that
name
is a
it after
unicorn.
unicorn. Yeah. Okay, so for the combination itself, I think Afri is going to deliver it.
So with the thought of like this is the inception.
Okay.
So in the beginning we will choose 4 data scientists
Okay. Ooh, wow.
because
Don't assume, use data.
which I believe is Bukit Vista core values, and then sales and marketing to get people in.
Yeah.
And then cleaning services.
Okay.
Okay, and then guest relation.
Okay, so we have a data scientist, we've got cleaning services, guest relations, and the fourth one in there?
Cleaning services.
Cleaning services. Okay,
Yeah.
fantastic. The unicorn team. Does anybody have any feedback? Any comments about what they've just said? Okay, I'll put a sort of a throw out there, right? Generally speaking, when you just get started, you might not have a lot of data yet. So imagine, let's say, a company like maybe like Igloo Homes, right? So actually, how much data do you have on your clients?
Actually, our CEO is a data scientist as well.
Oh, CEO is a data scientist as well.
He was a
Okay.
data scientist from Singtel, so he also brought a lot of data in when we started the company.
Ah, got it. Okay. Does wait? Let's before we throw this out here. Does anybody have a really good definition of what a data scientist is and what a data scientist does? Okay. Okay.
Collect and manipulate the data.
Okay, that's part of it. That's part of it. But that could also be a data analyst too as well. Does anybody else have any other explanations for what a data scientist does? Okay.
Okay, so what I see the difference between data analyst and data scientist is that a data analyst is supposed to be somebody that analyze after you collect the data, but data scientist is that I think it's very first layer because before even we going to start the company, we need to also know like which market we're going to target.
Yes.
So from there, we're going to build up the company like, okay, so we're going like, for example, Elite Heavens.
Right.
We're going to target the medium class, for example, medium and upper class. So
okay.
that's how we built the Elite Heavens itself.
Okay.
So that's why it's very core because we think that we need to be very assertive and certain about which market exactly we're going to target and how we're going to wrap up the whole company and the vision align.
Okay,
And
very
then-
fascinating.
yeah.
Okay, Dara has given a explanation of how we can use data to start a business. Does anybody else have any other definitions of a data scientist? No? Okay. Oh, yes, Diba. Diba.
That's right. So perhaps to compare it with data analyst, data analyst is to analyze the data, but maybe perhaps the data scientist could also provide the forecast
Okay.
in the future using that data.
Okay, fascinating. So we have a bunch of different explanations of data science, and I will admit that data science is one of those words that people throw around a lot, right? And it's fundamentally actually something a little bit different from what everyone said so far. And I got the explanation. There's data forecasting, there's data research, there's data analysts, but the best explanation that I've heard for what a data scientist does is a data analyst goes and finds data and compiles it and makes it easier for humans to make decisions, right? So a data analyst is making things so that humans can make decisions. A data scientist is collecting the data, writing algorithms so that machines can make better decisions, right? Okay, so you ask, why do you need a data scientist? Let's say you're a company like Gojek, and Gojek every day is producing millions of transaction records of what people are eating. Oh, wait, Benny's not here. Benny just went back. But Gojek will every day produce maybe even the 100 million category of data records, right? Who's ordering what are they eating, and all these things happening. So if you try to analyze this by human, it's impossible because this is big data. This is too much data for actually a human to analyze. So what a data scientist is doing is essentially they're coming up with programs that can look at that data and then decide what decisions should be made based on that big data. There are examples of how data scientists' works are being used all over the place. For example, let's say, here's a quiz, right? Let's see if everyone can get this. What sort of data scientist result would you see on a platform like Airbnb? Does anybody want to guess real quick? What would be, let's say, the result of a data scientist's work that would reveal itself on Airbnb? Yes?
Algorithm on the search engine.
Algorithm on the search engine. The algorithm would not necessarily be a result. It's like the process to get to a result. What would the result look like? Yes, Bayu. All right, fantastic. Alternative listing suggestions are something that, yes, the data scientists are looking through. They're looking for like what people have booked, what people booked instead, and the machine is making decisions and recommendations for people, right? So normally when you think about like, this is a great example, like the classic case, your villa is booked, do you have any other suggestions? And so then a human would make that decision as a data analyst. They would go, well, let me think, maybe this villa would be a suitable alternative if this one is booked. But what a data scientist is trying to do is try to get a machine to then create that suggestion for the person who's looking at it. Okay, so data scientist usually comes in actually at a much later phase when you have just tons of data and you need to figure out a way to gather insights from it. But okay, cool. Let's keep on going. All right, this team over here, what are you guys calling yourselves?
I think we both agree on. By the way, go ahead for the name.
Our group name will be Big Cabin.
Big Cabin, okay. Or Night Cabin.
Yeah, because Kenny's company is called Little Cabin.
Yeah.
So we just made it big.
Sounds good. That's good. That's good. That's hyper big data, big cabin. Okay.
I think we both agree on the first few persons we should be hiring. Those would be the first one would be sales and marketing.
Okay.
And then COO, business development. The last one is guest relationship.
Okay, sales and marketing, CEO, business development, and guest relationships.
Yep.
Okay, all right. Any comments? Is that okay? Fairly practical, and it's funny, yeah. You guys keep on forgetting the cleaners.
Okay. This one is very good question. Because we have a COO, so we first start the business. Okay, not the COO to clean the house. We still can outsource it to outside.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it. So there can be an outsourced cleaning solution. Okay, sounds good. Seems like nobody wants to do the cleaning, although that's sort of like one of the most important parts of hospitality. Great. Just out of curiosity, have you guys ever cleaned a room before?
Yep.
Yes, yeah. Has anybody not, wait, how would I ask this? Has anybody not cleaned a room before? Okay, and who has cleaned a room before? Okay, so pretty much everybody. All right, so at one point, I guess everyone will get promoted in their jobs, and then so you can say, yeah, I'm CEO now, but I used to clean rooms. Okay, fantastic, I like this. Okay, let's keep on going. The team up there? Lazy hosts, right?
Hi, our group name will call Giraffe.
Giraffe, okay, fantastic. Why giraffe?
To have a longer neck to look for the future.
Oh, long neck to see the future. Fantastic, okay, great. And how would you assemble your team, giraffe team?
I I will do it very traditional way by hiring cleaning services.
Cleaning services. Okay, very good.
Second, guest relationship officer.
Guest relations officer.
Third, sales marketing.
Sales and marketing.
And the last will be business partnership development.
Business partnership development. Okay, all right, that's fairly strong. That's kind of going up from the entire guest experience that way. Any comments for the team Giraffe? No? Okay, all right, let's go over to this side over here, yeah? This is a team of 3 again. What do you want to call your names?
I don't know. They said monkey.
Monkey! Why monkey? Okay, mischievous. Okay, please go ahead.
Okay, the first guy that we want to hire is the butler.
Butler, okay.
Okay, and the second one for offline sales, we'll take sales and marketing.
Sales and marketing.
And a culture coach to start the culture from scratch.
Okay,
so
very good.
the whole company won't screw up one day.
Right, right.
Okay, so lastly, we will take online marketing manager.
Okay,
to do
online
sales.
marketing. All right, fantastic. That's really good. I like you, the team Monkey, being monkeys, was the first one to actually come up with a culture coach. Does anybody have any comments about why you would add a cultural coach in the first 4 people that you hire? No? I would say this. I would really agree with that part. I agree that thinking about the culture of your company really, really early is going to have enormous impact on how you scale. If the culture is not something that you can be proud of, if the culture is not something that is right, once you add more people, what you'll see is that it'll just get more and more wrong. And so to have that right beginning and to have that right start just actually makes your business grow, not in vanity metrics, not in this, I have 30 people work my company. I have 30 motivated people fulfilling our vision together. And that's very different from just having like 30 people around, right? Okay, great stuff. Thank you. Okay, so I'll kind of launch into the presentation next and show you more about what we think about these roles. So you have essentially a disruption era, as we've been talking about, in the world of hospitality. And so we see traditional roles, and then we see new roles. Hey, Tendi, this is you, man, looking good here. So this is Tendi, and this is just some image stock front office role. So in the traditional hotel, you have a front office manager, and now you have an online guest support role. So what is exactly the difference between these 2 roles? So on a front office, you have a job description. The front office person, they handle check-ins and communications after the guest actually arrives. So one of the problems is if you go over to the front desk of any hotel, you'll see that it's not really that busy all the time. It's busy if there's guests checking in, but if it's not, then you are sort of like seeing a person who's a little bit idle. And also, the front office communicates in a home medium of around the desk area. So their home base is around the front office, the desk in the front of the hotel. And that's interesting because if you contrast that with a new way of actually evolving the role, you can see that an online guest support person will support the entire conversation thread between the guests before, during, and post-arrival, which is essentially what we do on Airbnb as hosts. The guests contact us before, we write something back to them, they book, we write something back to them, we guide them into our property. And this is always the thing that I found very, very interesting. We've worked inside resorts where they had a front office, but the guests that we sent into the resort would always choose to communicate through WhatsApp or the Airbnb app to our teams, which were miles away, rather than the people at the front office. And so people got like, what's up with that? Why are they not even just, we have a front office team, they can ask for an extra towel there. Why do they always just WhatsApp you? You're in like you might be on the next island away. And so one of the things we noticed that a lot of people prefer using their phone as a neutral sort of home base to communicate now. So your phone is almost like a neutral ground. You don't have to go to somebody else's ground to actually start a conversation. You're already in sort of a middle territory. That part was pretty interesting. And once again, if you have online guest support, then you can handle multiple reservation threads at the same time. So it also boosts the productivity. So this is an evolution of a role from front office to online guest support. The next one is a guest relations officer, is in a traditional role, and then a host is something of a new role. It's what brings this room together. It's what Bukit Vista does. It's what Igloo Homes supports hosts like us. So the differences between these roles are as such. As a guest relations officer, The guest relations officer relates to the guest experiences on site. So they're fixing issues one guest at a time. They're generally also managed by a middle manager. So inside of a hotel, you have a guest relations officer. They report to somebody else who then eventually reports up to maybe a general manager or some division manager. And you have more fixed working hours. What we've seen with hosts is that a host is essentially an entrepreneur. And what makes that interesting is a host is a full stack. They are the person who sees the problem, can take action on the problem, and so they don't have to wait for these long feedback cycles that go from here to middle management to general management, then back down again. So they should be able to operate autonomously to solve guest problems and also spread guest delight. Ideally, a host should be self-managed, like the way we see on Airbnb, and also there's flexible working hours, which means that you probably just work more than if you got a regular 9-to-5 job. On this particular moment, I'd like to actually explain something that I thought is really interesting when you grow a team. A lot of people, they go, when your team gets bigger, you need more managers. That might be right, but you have to also think, if you want to scale, do you actually want to hire more managers? Gojek manages millions of drivers. Without a manager between Gojek and the drivers. Airbnb manages millions of hosts without a manager between Airbnb and the hosts. So when you're building your own team, really think about transparency of information. This person can operate more autonomously than this person because there's more transparency, faster feedback, and there's a quicker way of understanding how the results of their action actually happen. Okay, so the next role. The next role is the sales and marketing team. This is the sales and marketing team for the Ritz-Carlton in Jakarta. I don't know about you, but that is huge, right? That's like 15, 20 different people just to work on one hotel. Diba is an online marketing specialist. Content, okay, sorry, I put your photo there. Diba works on content, but this is just an illustration of how much more efficiency you can get by using online resources to do your marketing instead of using a traditional sales and marketing team. Next slide. So, on this, let me share you a quick little story. The first time I visited Airbnb as a potential candidate to join the company, they brought me on a tour throughout the entire building. And I remember thinking, Airbnb is a global company, so they must have like 1,000 people working on sales and marketing. They must have a huge floor of people on phones, calling up, getting hosts to sign up. I was shocked. I was shocked when they brought me to see the sales and marketing team, and there was 3 people on some standing tables on just a corner of the building. And they said, this is our online marketing group. I was like, well, where's the rest of them? No, that's it. That's all we need. This guy works on Google Ads, this person works on Facebook, and this person works on search engine optimization. I said, that's it? Yup. But of course, they had huge budgets. Like, these 3 people spent like $60 million, a lot of money for the budget. But this is what you can actually do. You can take ad budgets for newspapers, magazines, travel fairs to attract direct guests in the traditional thing, and you move it to ad budgets for more online marketing. So you get more scale with a smaller team. You can also visit in the traditional sales and marketing world. There is an office from a traditional traditional travel agency next to our office. They often get visits from hotels in cars and vans coming by. And so if you work in a hotel, you just essentially visit all the travel agencies, all the offline travel agencies to say we have a new promotion, this and this, and they work in really large groups. So into the new world, essentially you're looking at using ad budgets on Google AdWords, Facebook, Instagram to attract followers, build digital communities. And what you do for the most day is you study analytics and you optimize those digital assets. Stuff that we were talking about yesterday, about looking at the data, thinking about the content, making experiments, and then redoing it and scaling it out using ads to get you more direct sales, to get you more sales. So these groups also work in smaller teams, which makes them more lean and agile and fast too. So these are all examples of evolution of traditional roles so that it hopefully is helpful for hiring. Any questions, thoughts, or comments so far about this? No? Okay, great. Let's continue. So, okay, yeah, let's move past this slide. This was the game. All right, so then I'm going to go into the talk of, let's say you're starting out with a small business and you're asking yourself the question, well, how do you know when it's time to hire? When is actually the correct time? And so the correct time is the correct time kind of feels like this. So this is what Bukit Vista looked back when we first got started in 2013. It was my living room, and essentially our living room, my wife and I's living room. We had a long table. We had some computer monitors, external monitors, and there's Bayou over there. He's looking at some. I think he's looking at Trello, actually. Wow, I can still see it over on the screen. Okay, so that's what it basically looks like. But the question is, when you know it's right time to hire, when you're really unable to get the job done any other way, it's time to hire. If you feel overwhelmed, if you're spending too many hours, you're not seeing your family, think about hiring your first employee. And so then you go on and you start thinking, well, I can't trust anyone to do this work better than I can. I can't trust anybody I can hire. And I work faster because, if I don't have to teach anyone, I can do this alone faster. And, hiring people is expensive. I can't afford it. So these are all myths. This does not actually happen, and it can be the very first trap to your success. So you really cannot build a real business alone. If you're thinking about building any kind of business, you need a team, and at the end of the day, if you don't have a team, you really won't have a business. So this is the truth. Next slide. So the truth is, if you don't really delegate or find anybody, you'll never have a holiday anymore because you'll have to be there every day to manage your business. And how will you ever get a promotion if you still do all the roles that you've ever done? You want to move from cleaning rooms to becoming COO. But if the CEO is still cleaning rooms 3 years later, it's not a COO. If you're the CEO and you're still cleaning rooms after 3 years, that's not very impressive either. So you think about actually how to promote, and it means that you've delegated your previous job to somebody new that you've hired. And look, ultimately, if your business grows, will you have enough capacity to grow with it? That's the other problem. You might think about, I'm going to lose money by hiring people, but if you don't hire people, capacity goes up. You lose money by not being able to take on new types of business. So these are the truths about hiring. Any questions, sir? Oh, good, yeah? Okay. Next slide. Okay, so this is the next part. So now that you're going to hire somebody, how are you going to do it? And so once again, we fall into these myths. We think hiring somebody will be expensive. We think experience is going to be the most important indicator of success. And this is always the funny one that a lot of people think of. I should hire somebody dumber than me so that I can manage them, right? And once again, myths, all nonsense. And the truth is that this is a trap again. This trap is you're building a team. And if you're building a team, you need to find the best people that you can possibly hire to advance your vision. If there's any sort of things that when I look back and I say, what could I have done better? It's like, I could always have hired better. If I hired better, we would have grown this much at this point and this much at this point. So there is no regrets in hiring the best team that you can possibly get together. Next slide. So, about expense. If any person you hire is worthwhile, they should be adding value to your organization. If they're not adding value, then they probably don't deserve the role. So most of the time, you will not have this problem. Employees will pay for themselves more. You should hire according to principles promoting integrity before anything else. If you hire according to experience and the person does not have integrity, they don't have motivation, they don't really care about what you're doing, then that experience is actually pretty useless. So hire according to integrity. If you have integrity and motivation and capacity, these other things will happen really quickly. And this is the one favor you can do for yourself. Hire the smartest person you can get your hands on. Hire the smartest people. Up ahead in your road of entrepreneurship, you're going to have a lot of problems coming from the outside world. You don't want to be the smartest person in the room and everyone looks up to you and says, now what do we do, boss? Right? You want to be able to go, all right, let's face this challenge together. Who knows this problem better than I do? And be able to actually benefit from the synergy of your team. Next. So our hiring philosophy, I know this is a wall of text, but I almost got it memorized now. Let's see if I can remember this, right? Hire and promote first on the basis of integrity, and after that, motivation, and after that, capacity, and after that, understanding, after that, knowledge, and after that, experience. Without integrity, motivation is dangerous. Without motivation, capacity is impotent. Without capacity, without capacity, without understanding, without capacity, understanding is limited. Without understanding, knowledge is meaningless. And without knowledge, experience is blind. This took me quite a long time to figure out what this meant, but basically what it means is you have to hire people with good integrity. It's the difference between a sailor and a pirate. They both know how to actually sail a ship, but they have very different integrity motivations. Second, motivation. No matter how talented a person is, if they're not motivated, if they don't want to move in that direction, then everything else is in vain. The next one is capacity, because let's say, for example, you're going to grow. So next year, you're going to hope that you can keep your team, have them grow with you. But if a certain person is only limited to a certain amount of capacity, then they won't be able to grow with you on that long journey anyway. Understanding. If you don't have any understanding, then everything that happens around is just, okay, this has happened today, make the same mistake again tomorrow, make the same mistake the next day. So these are essentially my metrics of how we look at to hire great teams. And it all comes down to prioritizing correctly. Experience is the last thing you should think about, because ultimately, within startups, within all this world, every experience is going to be different from any previous experience. Okay, great. Let's keep on going. All right, so now that you hired somebody, you did all the other steps, right? Things get easier, right? It's all good. Downhill from here? No. So, myths. Hiring someone means now you can relax, or now it means you just keep on doing what you did before, or I can't trust this person because I don't know this person yet. All myths. And the danger to that is that it's another trap. You've become a boss. I mean, congratulations. Now you're a boss. You've hired somebody. And so that means your job description is different. You need to learn a whole new set of behaviors and skills now. So when you hire somebody, you've given yourself an indirect promotion. Now, if you do the same work as somebody else, you need to grow into a leader. You need to think about vision, communication, planning, time management now. These are now the most important skill sets to have. If you focus on what you did before, then who's leading your team? Who's telling them what to do? Who's giving them direction and focus and vision? Trust but verify. Trust but verify. You have to trust your team. If your team doesn't feel like you're giving them that trust, they can't do their work. But verify too, because when we delegate to new people, sometimes we need to check if they're doing the work according to the correct expectations. Next. Right. All right, so last myth. Once your team is complete, now you're done hiring. You can go away now. You can just retire the HR team. And once you've hired great people, you can also just relax. I have a great team now. I'll just add in somebody else, and it will be fine because my team is so awesome. And that is the fourth trap. You're never really done hiring. You're never really done hiring, because now that you've built a team, hiring will be your primary duty as a leader. And you're obligated now to find the best people to fit into this great team that you've had. If you add, next slide. Okay, so one of the hard truths, and this is something that leaders of startups or new business always keep in mind, employees will come and go. I think Vita told it to me once very well. As a leader of a startup or a new business, as an entrepreneur, you are on a bus. You're the bus driver. The bus will go to a certain destination. People will get on and off the bus, and they'll pay toll for that bus fare. So at the end, it's really nothing personal. People have different lives. People want to live in a different country. They might want to get married, move to a different city, and they might not be able to continue with your mission, with your vision anymore. You got to keep on doing that. So your customers don't care if you just lost half your division or key personnel. They want reliable service. So plan on hiring forever. And the best teams always deserve the best players. If you've built this super team, then there's no point in contaminating it with people who are not worthy to belong in this team. Keep the hiring standard always higher and higher. Okay, complicated? Yes. So these are so many things to think about, and this is what my comment earlier was about. If you really want to think and contain all this together, you really need to think about company culture. Company culture is where it all comes together and where all the magic is. So company culture, I think, is primarily defined by 4 things. It's your vision. Where are you going? What do you want to do eventually? Where is this journey headed? Who you hire, who you fire, who you promote. A lot of times when we go and promote somebody, it's a convenience. It's like, oh yeah, we all like this guy. Yeah, promote him. But are you hiring according to any of your core values? Are you hiring according to what you really believe in? The work environment is also very important. That is where people are going to be every day. So a good work environment fosters a good company culture. Next. Okay, this is Bukit Vista. Our vision is to become the world's most innovative hospitality company. And that gives us a great direction to go to. When we make a decision about who we hire, about how we're going to take our next step, we ask, is this actually helping us become an innovative hospitality company? Employees in my company always go, well, we're not quite there yet, right? And sometimes it looks like we're even falling backwards. But a vision is not something that is easy to achieve. It should be something that's quite far away. It sets essentially the North Star, and it gives you a direction to progress towards. And a vision keeps that alignment so that everyone can focus on it. So this is what it looks like to work inside Bukit Vista. These are a few things that we do to add to company culture. This is Quiz Night. So Quiz Night was formed, and it's been done over the years to reinforce knowledge. When you manage 165 different properties, there's a lot of things to know. There's a lot of things to learn about it. So we have a fun quiz night. This is one of our innovations. We developed a way to connect 2 bases together. We have one base in Bali, another in Jogja, and we're able to actually do that quiz across a video call, which is something pretty cool. And we gave away cash prizes to the winners of the quiz night. This is our content team inside the office, and they work with cool stuff like Chromecast, and this is a GoPro, and data and analytics once again in the background to look at the impact of the content. Our teams travel. They travel all over Indonesia to take beautiful pictures, so the work environment sometimes is a bit outside the workplace too as well. And there's Deepa again. Okay, I know. I'll pay you royalty, yeah? Okay, and of course, having meals together, team dinners, people you share meals with tend to become much more like family than people you don't. So, and whenever possible, try eating together, try sharing space together, try hanging out after work together. These things really improve the company culture. Next slide. All right, core values. Core values are so important because when you want to have a startup, you want to give people autonomy. You want to give them the way that they can innovate on their own so that they can own their ideas and you don't have to be driving them always from the back. But how do you know if an idea is right? How do you know if, let's say, this decision is better than that decision? We need anchors of core values to tell us, are our judgments doing the right thing? We have this core value called Step on Toes. We borrowed this one actually from Uber. I know Uber's not a great company these days, but I like this one because in an innovative company, we need ways of getting the truth to be told. And in very many societies, the truth is hard medicine. Nobody wants to hear the nasty things that are actually happening. But without the truth being told, we can never really adjust our expectations correctly. So feel free to step on toes. Feel free to say things that are maybe impolite, but are truthful. Next one is be the hero. In hospitality, we think that oftentimes we are just really at home and we are with a guest that's far away. So it might be just a very simple thing that can change a person's entire experience far from home, and we should not ignore those opportunities. Be the hero can be for our guests, be the hero can be for our teammates, be the hero can be for anybody that is in our realm. So take courage and take that mindset. Transparency, we talked about yesterday, about being able to reveal the truth, having that dialogue so that people can decide for themselves what you're about, and helping others first. I think a true hospitality principle. We all have needs, according to a Maslow pyramid, but when we think about hospitality, there are people who have needs that are a little bit more urgent. They're on less stable ground than ourselves, and as hosts, think about helping others first. All right, so that pretty much sums it up. Happy hiring from this point on. And yeah, I'll be happy to take any questions if anybody has anything further to say.
Actually, I have a question.
Yes,
so,
sir. Yes.
I mean, building a company culture is important. We also understand that. But how about what happens if you scale? You know, a company grows to like more than 50 people, more than 100 people, something like that. How do you maintain the culture?
Jonathan, that is a very good question, and I actually don't have that answer for you because we're under 50 right now. I have worked at Airbnb when it was going through hyper growth, and what I saw Airbnb do was they spent a lot of energy thinking about how to do that. So one of the examples was that Airbnb would always fly people from the San Francisco office to train new people. I thought that was an incredible process. I was like, why don't you just develop somebody here and trust them to do the job? Because if you do, then you'll start getting a new culture from this new person, and that might not actually reflect the original culture of the company. So as much as possible, what I've seen is you have to budget for it. You have to budget for cultural activities, events. Not just that, though. It's also communication. A lot of communication, a lot of ways to sync, a lot of ways to learn. We give workshops, we do learning like this. We do many formats to keep a strong way of scaling that. I don't know how it's going to go. I wish Benny was still here. I wanted to ask him this question because I understood that a company like Gojek, when they were scaling, they were hiring like thousands of people in a very short amount of time. And when you do that, you're sort of like taking your company culture might be wine, and you might be pouring a lot of Sprite in it, right? All at once. And then if you fill it up at the end, it might actually taste more like Sprite than wine. So you kind of need to like give time too for the culture to ferment and develop. But I don't have the practical solution, but I think that's what it could be further on. But great question. Is Igloo Homes experiencing culture?
Yeah, so now we're actually experiencing that. So we've been growing for the past few years. Now we've hit about close to 100 employees total. Wow. So that's why also we're trying to figure out how to actually maintain our company culture. Because when I first joined, there were about 12 people in the office, 15 people. So we were all really close together, like I mentioned, like group lunches, group dinners, like in-house activities. But as we started to grow, like 50, 60 now in the office, it's kind of hard to actually go out together. Yeah, so we have to organize events like we're having a get-together called Igloo Week at the end of the month. So we're flying all our global employees together in the office in Singapore to actually meet up and talk, get together and have fun again. Yeah.
Can we cover that one?
So it's purely internal for now.
That I've noticed too as well. At Airbnb, one of the monumental things they did was they flew everybody from every office all over the world to San Francisco to spend like the way we're actually doing right now, actually. So everyone's getting together for 3 to 4 days to really get synced and get to understand that. Company culture is something that I think as, let's say, leaders of and the original people have quite a lot of influence on. They essentially set what the correct mannerisms are. We've seen, to be perfectly transparent, we've seen also some of our early traditions they change, right? We used to celebrate every 100 reviews. There would be a party. But then we started getting 100 reviews faster. And so that was hard to maintain a pace of celebrating every milestone. When we got bigger, celebrating birthdays became also harder too, and work anniversaries and these things. So I think you'll have to think of how to evolve that culture through time too. And I guess test it out. We have employee satisfaction surveys, right? And these go out, and it's essentially a way of seeing like how to then, let's say, keep the culture on track and apply the right techniques to make sure that pathway is correct. Cool. Thank you for that question. Anybody else have any questions about hiring, company culture, or anything else? No? Okay. All right. Good. Okay. All right. If that's it, then thank you very much, Jonathan, for coming up here with me, and thank you guys for listening to Hiring an A-Team. And back to Nung Lee.
All right. Thank you, Jing.